As we start to see all these numbers that are coming in, I'll tell you what, pay attention to governor's races, because the governor's races give you great insight into how the regular folks are feeling. And right now, they're feeling a heck of a lot more red than blue. Hello, welcome to the program, everyone. I am Trish Regan. This is the Trish Regan Show. If you haven't already, make sure you go to trishintel.com. Trishintel.com. That's my website. Sign up for my newsletter. You'll get invites to all kinds of special events, free events that are exclusive just to fans of this program, including my next sit-down conversation with the CEO of Legacy Precious Metals. If you missed that, go back and take a listen to the special town hall event, which so many of you participated in. We are thankful for the sponsorship of Legacy Precious Metals that made that all happen, and we're going to do it again. Get more information at legacypminvestments.com and sign up for the newsletter at trishintel.com. Portions of today's program are brought to you by Legacy Precious Metals. So I think it could be a red wave. I mean, it absolutely certainly could be. You just look at some of these numbers, as I said, already coming in. We'll see how it all shakes out in the coming days. But I'll tell you, this would be very, very good news for our challenged economy. Is that fair to say, since nobody wants us to say it's a recession or that we had a recession or that we may be heading into recession? That's what they call fake news. Give me a break. Of course, we still got a few days to go, but I think if you follow the money, and I mean this in more ways than one, what it tells you is the Democrats are certainly getting nervous. They're getting so nervous that they're pulling money out of a lot of key states and they're shifting it into places where they believe that they're very vulnerable. And when I talk about vulnerable, there's a few places you should watch. I mean, you look at the state of New York with the governor there, she's in trouble. You look at Connecticut, Lamont is in trouble. Other places include Michigan, even Pennsylvania, where you're starting to see Democrats there in trouble. And so the expectation is we're going to see a lot of Republicans that are turning out, and that's going to affect the rest of the ballot, the Senate, the House, everything. The other thing I would just note is that we've seen the market cheer a little bit in recent days. And you've got to say to yourself, what are they cheering, right? Because look, things are not looking so good. If Joe Biden is getting his way, he's going to be giving out more and more money. Of course, if the Republicans block that, that would be a reason for the markets to be excited. I mean, they certainly can't be that excited about all these Fed rate hikes. So what have they got? They maybe possibly have a red wave coming. And that would be reason to cheer. That would be reason to be upbeat, only because, nobody wants these taxes going up any further than they have to. I want to drill into this a little bit more. But before I do, you heard me mention Legacy Precious Metals earlier. I do want to remind everybody to go to trishintel.com to sign up for our next big event that's coming. Legacy Precious Metals is a wonderful company. It's family owned. Charles Thorngren runs the show over there, and he's a veteran. He's a family man. He's just an all-around great person, and he's joined us several times on the program, including on a special live edition that we did that you can sign up for either on my website, or of course you must go to legacypminvestments.com because they get a great investing guide that you can download. Anyway, Charles came on, and we're going to do this again. He answered all your questions, and he did so just in such a transparent way, and I think made a lot of this stuff, which sometimes can be a little bit intimidating, very, very easy to understand. So go check him out, legacypminvestments.com. Go to their website or call them. Give them a call at 1-866-589-0560. You're welcome to use my name, of course. You can say that you heard it right here, 1-866-589-0560. Anyway, there's a real shot here that the market is starting to think that there could be a huge Republican sweep. And if so, it's quite possible that that's not fully priced into the market. I mean, you're starting to see that maybe people are getting optimistic. And I think they have reason to be optimistic. Again, you don't count your chickens, as they say, before they hatch. But there are some pretty important places where I would anticipate you're going to get a lot of Republican turnout. If you get a lot of Republican turnout, that means you're probably going to see a bigger shift. And thus, you're seeing betting markets right now putting a 90% chance of Republicans winning the House, 60% chance of winning the Senate. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. I mean, it's still, like I said, I don't want to jinx this, right? It's still really important that people take this so seriously. But some of the issues that I think Democrats thought people would focus on, including, for example, abortion, they've really been trumped by the issue of inflation. which I think is just so basic and so fundamental. I mean, when you look at your government, what do you think they're going to protect? You think they're going to protect your currency. That you think they're going to protect the value of your dollars by not creating an environment where the purchasing power of your dollar continues to decline, which is exactly what has happened here in this country. Sure, I mean, hey, maybe your dollars are going to go further overseas, but we live here. We live here. We vacation primarily here, and we need our money to go further here. And the inflation is just insane, and there's such a tone deafness to all of it, over and over again by the White House and by the Democrats. So I think that this is going to be what decides things. I mean, just consider how many times we've had to hear Biden say things like, oh, gas was $5 when I came to office, when it was, what, $2.69? Or, oh, things are going so great. I'm the one bringing inflation down. I'm bringing it down. No, you're not, buddy. You're the reason it's up over 8%. Well, you and your team, because of your lack of foresight, your inability to understand that, hey, you know what? Maybe it behooves us to have our own energy supply before we start picking fights all around the world. Look, people get it. Voters get it. I mean, this is why when you look at the polls, you see over and over again, the number one issue on Americans' minds happens to be the economy. And this is across gender. This is across race. This is something that everyone feels. And I know, it's a lot easier for the rich than it is for the poor. But again, they feel it too in their own way. And so people don't like it. And this issue of inflation is going to be the Achilles heel for the Democrat Party. They thought they could have their cake and eat it too. They thought they could print money. They thought the Federal Reserve could print money. And they all thought it would be one big happy party. And we know every time that has happened historically, it's wound up landing us in a really major mess. Think about the 1920s, right? And the boom and the bust that came in 1929, end of October, not too many days ago, right? We celebrated that anniversary, if you would. So inflation is something that will affect everyone and therefore should affect people when they go to the ballot box. One big state, of course, that everybody's been watching has been Pennsylvania, as you see Oz versus Fetterman there. Fetterman, who's had all these health challenges. Oz, who, is not, not exactly everyone's cup of tea. And there was a lot of debate over whether he should be the guy. But ultimately, I think when push comes to shove, he will actually win the day, in part just because it's hard for voters to rally around Fetterman, given some of his, as I said, health challenges. He recently suffered a stroke, and it was pretty apparent in a recent debate that his recovery was not fully there. And so I think that does make people nervous. Other states I'm watching, well, of course, I'm watching because I grew up in New Hampshire, born and raised, still spent a lot of time there, and just a wonderful place. The Granite State, live free or die is our motto. And we have no sales tax. We have no income tax. I mean, this is one good place to live, and we balance our budget. Imagine that every single year. Well, Maggie Hassan, she's the Democrat there. Actually, her husband, believe it or not, was my college counselor. Can you believe? That's going back a lot of years. But when I was in high school, he was my college counselor that helped me pick my school, and very nice man. And his wife, Maggie, very nice woman. I would say she's not your quintessential Democrat. She's not an AOC. She's not like Gretchen Whitmer out there, the governor of Michigan. She's actually pretty practical. And I think as a Democrat or as a Republican, you have to be very practical in New Hampshire because nobody wants their taxes going up no matter what side of the aisle they're on. I mean, it's changed a little bit in recent years because you get all those people from Massachusetts coming north. But still, I think it's a measured, thoughtful state. And that's where perhaps Don Bolduc, who wasn't necessarily the establishment's preferred candidate, has sort of surprised people because he seems to be giving Maggie Hassan a run for her money. And this is very interesting to me because he started way down, in the doldrums, and then all of a sudden started picking up. And right now he's kind of even with her. So this is a toss up. I do suspect it's still very vulnerable to going to the Democrats. And she tends to vote overall with Democrats and her party, but she's not as predictable as some. So anyway, I leave that one as the toss-up. I do think Pennsylvania will go for Oz. I think there's some other key races where Republicans have a solid opportunity. I mean, think about Ohio. This is interesting because Congressman Tim Ryan, he's actually kind of a populist himself, right? He's the Democrat who's really tried to move more to the center and kind of glommed on to some of those Trump-like platforms. Well, he's up against J.D. Vance, right? So now you're really pushing it because Tim Ryan may be a populist, but J.D. Vance has taken it sort of to a whole other level and really trying to stand up for the people, and that's his entire platform. And I think he's going to win with it. I do think he's going to take Ohio. So if that one goes to Republicans, if you can see a few others going to Republicans, I mean, like, hey, what about Connecticut? You got Blumenthal there. He's kind of been, a mainstay for some time. But this RNC committee woman, Laura Levy, has come out, and she could actually really be able to ride, if you would, that red wave bubble, given the vulnerable position Lamont is in. So now if you look at some of the polls, including Nate Silver's 538, you have an updated average with Blumenthal ahead 53.4% to 40.9%. That was as of October 28th. But again, if you see this red wave and people really coming out in droves because they're sick of the Lamont policies, well, then that race suddenly becomes a toss-up. So there's just some interesting Senate races out there at play, and they will be affected by what's going on with the governor's races. A quick little note before I let you go, because I have one of my furry special friends is always right here with me. His name is Fluffy. He is my dog. I've had him several years, little tiny Maltese who thinks he's very big, by the way. And because he thinks he's so big, we have to live up to those expectations, right? By giving him big food, big vitamins, that is, all kinds of essential vitamins, antioxidants, digestive enzymes, things that my Fluffy needs to stay fluffy and healthy and always the best that he can be. It's called Rough Greens. This is a nutritional supplement. I just sprinkle it in to his food or on top of his food. Sometimes I dip a treat in it. So it's like, triple treat with the Rough Greens. And it was created by naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black. Dr. Black is a big believer in making sure that we all stay healthy, including our pets. I mean, that is just such a fundamental thing. We need to be making sure that we have the best ingredients, that we are getting our vitamins, and that our dogs aren't eating all this dead food that's on store shelves, but instead are staying alive with good stuff, nutrients that will power them ahead for many, many years. So I feel really good about feeding Fluffy Rough Greens. Fluffy loves getting Rough Greens, so it's win-win all around. Dr. Black has a special offer right now. If you go to roughgreens.com, that's RUFF, get it? RUFF Greens, GREENS.com. You can get a free month's supply, a free bag of Rough Greens, of this wonderful supplement for your dog. I promise your dog is going to love it. All you have to do is pay for shipping. So again, go to roughgreens.com today. Take advantage of Dr. Black's offer. Gosh, can you believe we're now coming up on midterms? I mean, wow, time flies. And here I am trying to make Thanksgiving plans. It's really just incredible how quickly things are moving. And it's so important, as things do move so quickly, that we get a chance to really get our country back, to get our economy back, heck, to get our energy industry back and our oil prices lower. So a lot is happening right now. A lot is going to ride on the next few days. And I think we need to stay hopeful that we will have people in place that can put forward the policies that will matter for this country to continue making us the greatest nation on earth. I encourage you to go right now to trishintel.com, sign up for my email right there. You can get special invites to all our great events closed to just fans of this program. So go sign up for the free email, trishintel.com. Go check out the website. We're there every day with loads of stories for you on the things that matter, because we don't have time for the nonsense, do we? I'll see you tomorrow.